Plume, the 3-star Michelin restaurant, is coming to Australia. Hooray for Plume, and we will all have the opportunity to spend $420 apiece to dine there. That is, before wine. But don't you worry, there are 4 wine menus for you to select from. From the likes of the elegant 2018 Chateau Petrus at $15,700 per bottle. Cost of living crisis? What cost of living crisis? If you're on the job seeker allowance, you too can attend Plume. Just bring your doggy bag and diet for 10 days. Like the system of justice, Plume is open to all.
Please, sir, I want some more.
And when it opens at the Balmoral Beach Bathers Pavilion in a few weeks' time, well, let's quote from the food porn supplement in the SMH, Australian diners will have the opportunity to try British chef Simon Rogan's most revered dishes. The restaurants have today announced the 8-course $420 menu featuring the famous fritter of Duroc pig and the smoked eel, the fermented sweet corn, the seaweed custard with beef broth and bone marrow. Not sure about the seaweed custard, but I'm sure it's delicious. Meanwhile, top-end property prices, like restaurants, are going off. The Key restaurant at the Rocks is packed. Encore at Crown Casino with its $400 a head menu. It's humming, and that's all good. But what about the millions of Australians struggling to put food on the table and pay rent while they're subsidising investors through various tax breaks thanks to government policy? The rising disparity of wealth in Australia is directly due to inflation, which is a global thing mostly, but it's also due to successive government policies to appease those Australians who already own the most. The poorer workers effectively are subsidising wealthy investors through a number of these policies. But when politicians say, we can't afford it, we can't afford more money for housing or welfare, what they actually mean is that we prefer not to afford it. We prefer to allocate the money to something else, say $370 billion for submarines, or $10 billion for negative gearing tax breaks, or $2 billion for a Darwin petrochemicals precinct, $40 billion for JobKeeper subsidies for corporations who don't even need it. Of course, they can afford it. Australia is one of the richest countries in the world. Mineral exports are booming. Minerals, which, by the way, we own, which are exported, which aren't taxed properly. They can afford it all right. They just don't want to afford it because they are frightened of a backlash by the corporate media. They are frightened down there in lobby land by losing votes due to what's going on at the moment with the IR laws, to a business lobby backlash, an anti-government ad. While most Australians are being crushed by this cost of living crisis, and with worse to come once fixed rate mortgages come off and people are suddenly paying 6%, not 2% on their home loan, it's worth noting that there are fixes. There are solutions to the problems. Some of them very simple, but our elected representatives are making the decision not to fix things, but to maintain, in the interests of vested interests, the status quo. So here are some easy fixes. Let's just deal with housing first. Well, the obvious fixes in housing are CGT tax breaks and negative gearing. Now, you could easily pull back negative gearing to 1 property, so people with 5 properties or 300 properties are not being subsidised by taxes on the wages of the rest of us. Easy fix. The second problem, black money driving up prices in the property market. Mostly Chinese black money. They could simply bring in the AML, the anti-money laundering legislation that they promised they'd bring in 15 years ago to stop accountants, lawyers and property developers from laundering money through Australian property. Easy fix. To Mark Dreyfus's credit, the Attorney General's Department is now apparently beavering away behind the scenes on this, but we'll just wait till we see what the actual upshot is. Another fix, and here's a beauty. It's a fix for the rental crisis. Fix the Airbnb Tax Fraud, where landlords claim tax deductions for a whole year on property which might be let out for just a couple of weeks. We've got a great story by Tim Evans in the link below, which exposes landlords claiming a full year of tax deductions when a property might only be let out for 4 weeks. What's to stop foreigners laundering their money through this rort? Nothing. They do. Foreign home ownership's another thing which they banned in other countries. You could do that. That's residential. They can buy warehouses and CBD commercial properties. Why not? But residential markets, they affect ordinary Australians that can't find a home to live for a reasonable price. So Tim Evans sensibly suggests that tax deductions only be claimed for the time the property is actually let out. Tens of thousands of rental properties would come on the market if this simple fix was enacted. That's just housing. What about multinational tax avoidance? They could tax revenue, not profit. They could cap corporate deductions, cap the time frame for banking tax credits to 3 to 4 years from infinity. They could introduce a carbon exports levy. They could fix Part 4A. In climate, they could call it a day on new coal and gas projects. They could fix the lobbying and government secrecy and address poverty by stopping the pillaging of Australian assets by foreign tax-avoiding predators like Brookfield takeover bid for Origin Energy. Off to the Caymans, that one. They could fix defamation laws to ensure free speech. They could fix the broken FOI system to enable information to flow through our democracy better and much more timely, rather than having to wait 4.5 years to get an FOI back like Rex Patrick does. They could get all old-fashioned and have truly independent committees checking out big spending decisions before committing our money to the likes of $370 billion on overpriced submarines. There is so much that they could do, but they don't. It is their decision. Instead, on carbon, housing and other things, we're getting confusing solutions which look more like an overstructured Macquarie Bank financial product than the answer to Australians living hungry, living in squalor, or living on the street. It's going to get worse before it gets better unless they do something. So the housing debate's back in Parliament this week. The coalition's rendered itself irrelevant. Both Labor and the Greens could look at these eminently credible proposals to make significant change rather than faffing around at the edges. Thank you for your support. It's essential that we fund independent media properly to take on these cherished narratives being driven by vested interests.